I'm going to explain how Israel, in a way, has led to these tariffs. And of course, we need to go back a bit. Now, done some stories on YouTube about Israel, and I've written about it. And Israel is sort of like a lab rat, a lab mice for the United States. I mean, there are many differences, but there's certain similarities. So what happens in Israel also can happen in the United States, and I think that's becoming very clear here with the tariffs. So let me back up. So I have a friend from Israel, and long ago when Trump was president, I said, Trump is Netanyahu is going to be very bad for Israel because he's annoying the Democrats, and Israel will need them for support later on. Now I was wrong about that. I underestimated, I think the power of the Jewish lobby in the United States and how they're linked up with the Christian nationalists. I also underestimated. I wasn't really thinking about just how closely tied Israel and the United States are in defense development, in the fight, the F-35 and the Patriot missile systems, things like that. So basically, I think what happened is Israel said to the United States, listen, we're going to deal with the Gaza in our own way. And so you just have to butt out. The United States was like, well, okay, well, our geopolitical interest in sharing this technology is more important. Like we can't get Israel to take this technology away. Like we have to keep them close, keep the mutual interest with the Middle East. So I think that's what ultimately made the Democrats keep giving weapons to Israel, not because the U.S. really wanted to, but because basically Israel had the United States over a barrel on the shared defense type stuff. Anyway, the point I want to make is that my friend was very much like, Israel doesn't need the United States. It doesn't need anyone. And what's happened is after 2015, I'd say, the global economy was slowing down. And the pandemic sort of saved it from a crash, if you ask me. But anyway, it was slowing down. And when the reason that Hamas was able to attack Israel wasn't because they got stronger. It's because Israel economically was getting weaker and was spending less and less money on technology to defend the border with Gaza. Like they spent the scam money on some, tech company that was going to put all these sensors in the ground, just stupid stuff. Anyway, it wasn't a surprise that, Hamas got through. Now, did Israel just say, hey, we need to really think about this? Like, what went wrong? Like, can we improve the situation here? No. Like, Israel cannot take any criticism whatsoever. The feeling of superiority in Israel is extremely high to the point of you can't talk to them. And in that way, Israel is just like the United States, or the United States is just like Israel. This sense of virtuousness, of being in the right all the time. And this is what's most important, that whenever there's a problem, it's somebody else's fault. Like Israel did not look at itself and say, hey, listen, we have trouble with the economy. We have all the Haredi that are living on welfare, basically, that are just, the population is growing. They won't serve in the IDF. We have all these internal problems in Israel, these economic problems and social problems. That's not the problem. The problem are the Palestinians in Gaza. So we just need to level Gaza and we need to drive them wherever, right? And so that's what they've been doing. And so that kind of thinking, like everything that they do is always based on they're going to make somebody else pay for it, whether it's going to be the Palestinians or Hezbollah or Assad in Syria, whatever, right? I mean, that's just been their thing over and over again. And I don't believe it's going to work. I think Israel is done. And I've said this for a long time. So it'll take a while, but economically they've killed themselves because they have no friends. And of course, that's what's happening in the United States too with these tariffs. And the link is that the United States also believes it needs nobody else. Just like Israel doesn't believe it needs the United States doesn't believe it needs anybody else. It doesn't need Europe. It doesn't need Canada. It doesn't need anybody. This sense of superiority. And the U.S. is also having economic problems. And does it, again, do the Democrats and Republicans or get together or even within themselves think about, like, how can we improve America? How can we make ourselves more competitive? No, they don't. it's another person's problem, right? That's why Trump is so successful, because he gets into that psyche, which both the Democrats and Republicans have built up in their own way. He's really lit a fire into that thing, again, of superiority. It's somebody else's fault. So it's the immigrants' fault. So we have to get the immigrants. And it's so bad, it's so run amok that the Jewish lobby that supports Israel, the Zionists or whatever, right? They called up Trump and they said, listen, there are these people in college, these kids in college criticizing Israel. So you need to brand them anti-Semites, you need to deport them. I mean, this is unbelievable, right? Just unbelievable. But again, it's they're not thinking about, like, thought doesn't even cross their mind that they're lunatics, as what's his name said. It's just somebody else's problem. They're so fixated. It's their problem. And they just repeat it over and over again until they believe it. And same thing in the United States, right? It's immigrants' problem. And now with the tariffs, Trump is like, yeah, it's their problem. It's their problem. It's yours problem. It's China's problem. It's whatever. And the Democrats and Republicans, I mean, they're all dummies. I mean, the problem is that they've made a devil's bargain. So the Republicans have made the devil's bargain of, okay, well, Trump gets elected, and we ride on his coattails. And so when the donors and the business donors go to the Republicans, because I'm sure their phones are ringing off the hook with this tariff stuff. So when GM calls their state senator or congressman, whatever, said, listen, these tariffs are horrible. You have to stop them. And like, listen, we can't. You just have to let Trump go through his thing because this is how we get elected. But as soon as it dies down, we'll help you. And that's what they've been saying for a while now. But now it's like out of control. And there's no way for them to stop them. So if the Republicans, jump camp to the Democrats, they know that they'll be finished. And the Democrats don't say to the Republicans, listen, okay, we won't attack you. Let's just all work together. Right? Each side will not trust the other one. They just will not work together because in the back of their head, they're still thinking, yeah, but we'll all get over it. Yeah, we're fighting it, but Trump, he'll go away. I've been thinking this for a while, and they keep doing it. But at some point, I think we've reached that point where Trump has gone so far ahead that there's no way they can get back. So like just today, I think the Senate now 52-48 passed some thing to get rid of some of the tariffs for Canada. Too little, too late. I mean, the cat is out of the bag. But again, getting back to Israel, when the U.S. sent all these bombs to Israel to bomb Gaza, right, to level Gaza, like what principles does the United States have, right? What principles does Israel have? So no other country is ever going to look at Israel as like somebody that you want to be friends with. You want to be friends with somebody that leveled people's houses without any due process and whether they're involved in any terrorist attacks, right? That you sent pagers to Hezbollah, that they aren't all fighters that killed kids in markets, like the beeper goes off and blows a kid's head off. I mean, really, like you want to be friends with that kind of country, right? I mean, what they're doing is so beyond the pale. So again, like I said, Israel's finished as far as I'm concerned. It's going to take a while, but they're gone. In the United States, it's the same way. Why would anybody want to be friends with the United States? Now, the United States has a reserve currency, and that's always been historically one reason why the United States gets away with a lot of arrogance, because it has a reserve currency and everybody uses it. But why? And I never thought I'd see the day in my life where the U.S. dollar would be threatened as a reserve currency. But here we are. I can't believe it. Because why would you want to be in a U.S. dollar? The reason the U.S. dollar is strong is because you have so many, if you have somebody from Mexico or Panama working here as whatever, or Russian, they all put their money in dollars because they're all like, well, I know if I have a dollar, I can always go to the United States and rent an apartment and be safe from political persecution. So if all these people in the world, Chinese especially, are invested in dollars because they feel, hey, I can go to the United States and always be safe from political or religious persecution, and now that's over? And now we're persecuting people politically for political reasons and religious reasons, right? Then why would you put your money in a dollar? It's not safe anymore. So you're going to put it in the euro. You might even put it in the yuan. If China plays its cards correctly, if China opens up a little bit more, if it basically tells Taiwan, listen, we'll recognize you. We're not going to invade you. I mean, that could really have big changes. Same thing with India. Turkey wants, there are a lot of countries that, if they played their cards right, could get the world out of the reserve currency. Again, not because they could give them a better deal of force, but because people are looking for another alternative. And so if they can get an alternative, they'll take it. So again, but this stuff, I'm just pointing out just how dumb these people are in the government. And, the federal government thing with Trump trying to get rid of them, well, they need to be cleaned up. What happened during the pandemic is all these government workers worked at home, really did nothing, right? And all these people that manual labor got shafted. And we all see it. The government is very unresponsive. I don't know about you, but you got to try calling them, right? So the government is screwed up, and nobody's going to fix it in an organized, logical way, right? So they don't fix it, and it just atrophies and gets worse and worse. And so Trump has just got there and said, fired them all, right? I mean, you have to fix it some way. I don't think that's the way to do it, but there really wasn't any solution by anybody else. So, what are you going to do? And the tariffs, although there's the wrong way of going about it, there is a problem. The United States is economically non-competitive. And so the tariffs are sort of like a ham-fisted way of, we're going to make ourselves competitive. We'll put on these tariffs, nothing will come in. We'll just have to figure it out ourselves. It's like a weird way. It's a good idea, but it's the wrong way to approach it. It's not by, again, blaming somebody else, blaming the Europeans or the Canadians or the whatever, or blaming immigrants and any of this stuff. The thing to do is for all Americans to sit down, for the government to sit down and say, listen, what can we do to improve our competitiveness? What can we do to improve our economy? That's the way to do it. And you work with others. The world is not America's problem. The Palestinians are not Israel's problem. So, I don't know, I guess humans just can't deal with happiness. So, we do whatever we can to to self-destruct. So that's where we are. So that's how I feel Israel really shows how we led to these tariffs, this complete sense of virtuousness, do no wrong, I'm wrong. I mean, I'm right and everybody else is wrong. Any problem is everybody else. That's America here, right? You got the Trump, yeah, he's doing stupid things, but the Democrats, they just send me tons of emails. Give me money, give me money, give me money. That's it. Same thing, right? Give me money, give me money. The problem is Trump. The problem is Trump. No, the problem is not Trump. It's just one guy, okay? The problem is that Americans are not working together, not look. And again, I'm not saying what we should do because nobody's going to do anything. What's going to happen is, we're going to go into a depression. I felt this for years. And it's only when America hits rock bottom that it's going to get its act together. And I believe it will get its act together. It always does. But only going to learn the hard way. And so the tariffs have just basically, I think this is the thing that's going to really begin that race to the bottom. If you look at the Smoot-Hawley, if you look at the stock market, like when they did that, people don't realize that the stock market crashed, but it actually made its way up halfway. It was going back. And it started dipping down. Then the Smoot-Hawley did the tariffs, and then it really crashed. The depression wasn't started really from the crash of 29. It was started by the very slow, very fast drop after Smoot-Hawley's tariffs, where the stock market basically gave up 60-80% of its value. I mean, it just really went down. And that's what I expect will happen here. But again, it isn't about the economics of the tariffs. It's about an attitude problem. The United States has an attitude problem. And Israel is now going to have to, if the United States crashes, who's going to help Israel? They think they can get along by themselves? Oh, they live on sand and dirt, right? What are they going to do? And they're surrounded by 600 million people that super hate them now. So, again, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what the United States is thinking. Everybody hates us now. We really think what do we have? What do we give to the world? I have tons of Chinese and Asian. I have tons of Asian stuff in my house made in Asia. right? What do Chinese have that I built or we built as Americans, right? What do they have of Americans in their house? Really nothing. They don't need us anymore, okay? They needed us before for intellectual property and stuff like that and some design stuff, but they don't need us anymore. So, yeah, we're okay. So I'm at 15 minutes and really blathering on. Thanks for watching.